Yo, what is up everybody? And geez, you guys are hungry for the quarries. By far the videos with the most views and comments on that I've posted so far. And I'll admit, I haven't gone over them in as much detail as I possibly should have done and could have done. But thanks to all you guys and your lovely comments of encouragement, I am here and I'm going to go through in depth in a brand new world. I see I've still got my starting map, and that is the first time I've opened it, as you can see. And we're going to go over everything from start to finish. So stay tuned, grab a bagel, get some snacks. It's going to be a long one. First thing we need to do is kind of plot out an area to work in. Come down here and I'm going to use the fill command, and we're going to go 10 in one direction, no up or down, and we'll go 10 in another direction, and then we want to do -10 in that direction. Same, we don't want to go up or down, and then we'll do a -10, and then a few moo cows knocking around, but that's fine. And the anal retentive in me just really quickly wants to patch this in. The first thing you want to do really is decide where you're going to put all this stuff. Like if it's a multiplayer world, I'd recommend putting it down at bedrock somewhere and then casing the whole thing in bedrock. But just for the purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to do it right up on this top layer of world here. Like every quarry design, it all starts with the quarry itself. So let's clear that inventory out, and we'll give ourselves a command block. So if you don't know how to do that, give @p. And we want a command block. There we go, sorted. So we're going to use an impulse command block so we can control this with redstone. And very simply, all we're going to do is make sure it's impulse, unconditional, needs redstone. Fairly straightforward, which means every time we give this a redstone pulse, it will activate. You have to turn that redstone pulse off to get it to activate again, because it needs the pulse on, pulse off, pulse on, pulse off. It's like a lever, you know? It will be in a permanent state of on while it's given a redstone pulse, but it won't repeat the command. If you want something to do that, you need a repeating command block. Pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to go execute @E, and for the sake of simplicity, we will call this digger. Now you want to use apostrophes like that. Sorry, name equals digger. So you want to use apostrophes like that because if you're giving something a name, then it doesn't already have a Minecraft name associated with it. So say if we were doing diamond pickaxe, we could go diamond. I always put diamond for some reason, underscore pickaxe. Now another reason you want the quotation marks there is if you want to use the screen name of something. For example, if we did rotten underscore flesh, that wouldn't work, even though there's no space in it, because spaces trigger the next command. You'd have to do how the screen name is written. So you put it in quotation marks, and then you can put a space in, flesh, and then quotation marks. Some items work that way. I don't know why, it's a thing. So if you find you're looking for something, or you're trying to execute at something and it's not working, that might be the reason why. So we're going to say digger because we're going to name our armor stand digger, so we know it's easier to keep track mentally of what it's going to do. And we are going to fill from its relative position, and we're going to go, let's say, let's make a small one at first. So we're going to go 3 in one direction from its feet, and then we're going to go 3 on the z-axis too. So that will go out in like an L shape, 3 to the left and 3 forward. Now to make a square with this at the center, we need to go 3 right as well, so -3. Then we want to go down at least 1, so we're going to dig a layer out, so down 1, and then another -3, and that way from 3 to 3, that will dig out a 7 block wide area because it counts the 0 block as 1, and it will dig a square and it will dig it a layer down. So if we were to do that with air, we want 0 because you have to give a data value for the block, and then we want to add on destroy so the blocks actually get dropped. So now if we say go find a nice little area to test this out in, summon armor stand, immediately after you type something for summon, you can give it a name, so we'll call it digger in quotation marks. Boosh, there we go. So now you can see that that is named digger. And now if we were to pulse this command block here, you'll see he'll dig down 1, dig down 1, dig down 1. So we've got our little digger set up. So now what we need to do, build the quarry that we're going to clone in, because this quarry doesn't just build itself. You can have a lot of command blocks towering up into the sky saying set block X here, set block Y there, set block, and build it manually one at a time, but it's a lot easier to use the clone command. So what we're going to do is get some quarry looking blocks, and we'll do a nice little 1 block wide frame. The reason we're building it around the digger is because that way we know the exact size of the hole that that digger's going to dig. So if you take your digger up first and dig a few layers, you can then determine the size of the hole it's going to dig, and you can build the quarry around it. Do is just build out our little, basically building a container to put the armor stand in. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Our armor stand will sit inside here, so if we grab an armor stand like so and pop him in there, there we go. And now we can just close off the top of that. I mean, you could, if you wanted to make this look a bit more pointy, we could. Oh yes, that's looking a lot more. Oh yes, oh, I like that. So see, you can have a lot of fun just designing the machine, really, and we'll leave that there because then we can have some scaffolding on the top of that, go up like so that when we clone it in, it builds. I'll go on top. There we go. So it builds the little shaft that trails it down. So if you've seen my Mark III video, you will know exactly what I mean. Right, so we've got our little digging routine here. So every time we hit the button, he digs. So now what we need to do is spawn in this quarry. So let's go break this guy, and we'll go over that. The easiest way to do it is to have just an armor stand with a specific name. Put another one of these down. We'll put it on repeat, and we'll make it always active. So every time you put one of these fellas down, it will do what we're going to make it do. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this guy Quarry Installer, because he's going to install the quarry. So we'll do, turn the caps lock off for a start, execute @e type equals armor stand. So we want to make sure that this is only a thing called armor stand. That way we can use the name installer for other things. And we'll do name equals installer. So at any armor stands where the name is installer, this set of events will take place at its relative location. That's what the tildes mean. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a clone command. So we need the coordinates, first of all, that we're going to clone from. So it always goes from corner to corner diagonally. So the easiest way to get the coordinates is to look at the block. See how my cursor's on it and it's highlighted with a little black line, and that little black line moves from tile to tile. So look at it and type clone, and then it'll give you the numbers. So 66, 69, 28. Then you can hit enter. It's not going to work, but that's fine. We don't need it to work. We don't want it to work right now. So we need to get up to the same height as this to get the opposite corner. So we'll come up, 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 up. And I think that should be, yep, that's right. So now we can go bring the commands back up, highlight the block again, tap up on the keyboard to bring up the previous command that we were entering, and now we can continue that command with 74, 81, 36, the coordinates of the block we just targeted. So we can hit enter, and that will fail. We want it to fail. That is fine. We'll get rid of these now, because otherwise they'll get cloned in as well. So it's going to clone everything from that corner to that corner, so it'll make a big cube of all the stuff inside of it. So make a note of those coordinates. So it's 66, 69, 28. So we can whack that open. 66, 69, 28. And bring that back up again. 74, 81, 36. 74, 81, 36. Now we want to bring it to the relative location of the installer. So tilde, tilde, tilde. Sorry. Yes, tilde, tilde, tilde. And that should be it. So every time we put down an armor stand called Quarry Installer, or just installer in this case, it will install a quarry at that armor stand's location. So if I go over here and pop him down, and we'll get an armor stand. I would summon it in, but obviously because it's set to repeat, it would just happen immediately in the sky, so we don't want that to happen necessarily right now while we're testing it. Because I always recommend testing every part of the chain, because that way if something fails, you'll know exactly where that failure was. So now we can put this anvil down, and we can name it installer. Boom, quarry gets cloned in. How about that, lads and lasses? How beautiful is that? So you can get that triggered any which way you want. Obviously I've got mine on, instead of this repeating command block just looking for installer, it's looking for what's underneath that armor stand and then comparing that dropper to another dropper somewhere else, and then it's, if that match is true, i.e. you've put the right ingredients in, it clones in the quarry. But just for purposes of demonstration and so that you can put all that stuff in yourself, that is the basics of getting the quarry in place. So we've got 2 command blocks currently, which is our dig command. Now, but yeah, you'll see that every time we put one of these down and name it installer, it will clone in the quarry. So you see how it clones itself in at the corners? Well, we don't want that. So we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that way, and 1, 2, 3, 4 that way. So there we go. That will be our new block. So from here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we go back to this block now, and we change these relative tildes here, so we go -5. For some reason, you always have to go back a space on the second line. It drives me mad. So -5. Okay, now when we do it, you should see the quarry spawn in right with the armor stand right in the center. Boom. Okay, no, not quite. Maybe it was -4, -4. Yeah, it does seem I went 1 extra on each direction. Right, let's try that again. -4, -4, and there we go. He's right in the slap bang center now. Now, at the moment, it's constantly cloning that quarry in. So if I was to just break some of this, you'd see that we can't do any damage to it because it's always being cloned in. As you can see, 1 block's cloned, 1 block's cloned. So what we want to do is, as soon as we've done that, we need to kill the armor stand. But we also need to summon an armor stand in up at the top. So what I tend to do is make this one an impulse block, because that way it will only ever run once, even if it's being triggered by a repeating block. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So if we take another command block and pop it here, and then we do this one as the repeating command block, and it's always active, we can then do test for @e type equals armor stand. So make sure that there's an armor stand in the world, but we don't want to do this for every armor stand in the world. So we're going to do name equals installer, if I can spell it correctly. Let me just make that a bit bigger so it's easy to see. And you can see it's running that code now, so I found installer. So what we can then do on here is have a chain command coming off, conditional, always active, so we want it to only happen if that previous command is true, but we always want it to happen. We don't want we need this to give redstone to first. So we're going to do execute at e type equals armor stand, because again we only want to kill this specific item we're targeting. Name equals installer. Now we're not going to keep this kill command here. What we're going to do, and kill at s because we want it to kill itself. What we're going to do is we're going to put some more stuff in between these blocks, but don't worry, we'll come to that in a moment. I did say this was going to be a long video. So now if we smush this up, you can see it doesn't get instantly teleported back in. And now if we put one of these fellas down, what will happen is it will spawn in the quarry with him at the center, and then he'll die. Sweet. There you go. So now we've accomplished that. So like I said, we're not going to keep that command block there. So what we're going to do is going to hold control and middle click. Don't know how you do this on a controller, so if you're using a controller, I can't help you there. I'm just going to pop it to the side. So now we can do something a little bit different. Alright, now that we've spawned that in, we need to grab a few coordinates. So anyway, we want this to be conditional, and then what we're going to do is we're going to execute at armor stand, and we're going to execute at name equals installer, just like before. And we're going to go tilde, 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 because this wants to be at its relative location exactly where it is. Now, the block it occupies is always at its feet. So the block above its head would be block 2, right? So it's 0, 1, 2. Even though it's the third block up, it's considered block 2. I'll show you what I mean. 1, 2, 3. So the game reads this one here, this one, as block 2, even though it's 1, 2, 3, because this one is 0, 1, 2. Yeah? So that's going to make a lot of sense in a moment. So what we're going to do now is go over to the quarry we just deployed. I'm going to find that center block, which was there, I believe. And we're going to pop our armor stand in place just so we can get a visual reference. Now what we want to do is summon an armor stand here. Okay? So we need to find out how many blocks that is. So again, going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going to summon an armor stand at block 7. So we're going to do summon armor stand, name equals quarry, or something along those lines, and it's going to be tilde, tilde, 7, tilde. So we don't want any left, right, or forwards or backwards. We just want 7 up, okay? And that's going to be conditional and always active. So the second we deploy this quarry now, you will see it will summon in that armor stand. So let me just break these, whack the name tag on this fella, and you will see that inside we have our quarry. Very, very good. And now we can take our kill command and we can set that up on the top of here, because we now have another armor stand to reference. So if we take that away and put it back, it will run that chain again. That will now turn off because the installer is no longer valid, so none of these commands are constantly looping. And once more we have quarry and our installer has disappeared. If you're new to command blocks and all this kind of good stuff, it's going to be easier to just spawn the digger that we made earlier at where that installer was. So to really finish this off easily, is this the kill installer one? Yeah, that's the kill installer one. So we can get rid of that. Oh, I shouldn't keep deleting those. So instead of killing the installer here, what you can do is summon armor stand, and then digger, because the code's already set up for the digger. Right, so that way, as soon as you put down the quarry, it will kill the installer, summon the digger, and then you can run back over to here, and if we push this button a few times, you will see he's dug straight down through that hole. And if we were to just bring this up to ground level, you will see that he has perfectly gone through the shape of the quarry. And then you could have that connected up to whatever type of circuit that you want. You could have it on a repeating circuit, so while the digger is in existence it just repeats, or you can push it manually. You could have it set up so that it reads a comparator from a source where you teleport the items to, and then once that source reads empty, then it pushes the button automatically. There's like so many different ways you can do it, but I'm breaking it down right now into its separate components. So you've got the cloning of the quarry, the turning of an armor stand into what you need it to be. So it clones in the quarry, clones in the digger, and then off you pop. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you've got the more complex features where this actually extends down and digs into the ground. But that is the basics for how you would set the quarry up. Now, what you're going to want to do once you've got this all set up and running for yourselves is now we need to get those resources piped in somewhere. So what I would recommend doing as your first attempt is to do what I did in the previous in the Mark II quarry. So if I stick a dropper here so that I can then feed back like so. If you set something like that up, it's going to be the easiest way to do this, because I'm not going to go over how I animated the arm coming down in this video, because that was a lot of work. So I'll save that for another part 2 in-depth tutorial. This is the Mark II quarry in-depth tutorial. Okay, so the last thing we need to do now is to make sure that it teleports the entities, only the entities that we want, and only the entities from near the digger up towards the quarry. So that's why we've put the pipes in place. So that's what we're going to do next. So we'll get ourselves a chain, a conditional, and an always active, because every time it digs we want it to do this, but only when it digs. So we're going to make that big. We're going to do execute at E type equals armor stand, because we're always referencing that armor stand that is named installer. No, not installer, that's digger. Going back on myself now. So name equals digger, relative location, and we're going to do another execute, and this time at E, and we're looking for any type of item. So type equals item. Anything that's lying on the ground within a vicinity that we are going to define. We're digging 3 each way, so we'll do a radius of 5. So we're going 5 each way to give us a little bit of overlap. And then we're going to do at that item, TP at S at E, name equals quarry. For God's sake, I can't type. Quarry. Excellent. Now if we go and set up a brand new quarry, and there we go. So now every time we dig, he sucks up the items. So we hit the button, you'll see it on the right, it's teleporting all the dirt to quarry. And there you go. That is how you would do the Mark II quarry. So like I said, focus on setting up your dig routine first, but make sure that any target you teleport, you target for a teleport, you can send as many things as you like, but you can only send them to one. So if I was to set up another one of these quarries, you will notice that the dig routine will work just fine. Okay, the dig routine is not going to be an issue. So both quarries will dig, but now neither of them are sucking up the resources. You see, because they've got multiple. There's 2 quarries up here. Whereas if I take that one away, and then we dig, now all the stuff gets teleported. So if you want to set up multiple quarries, just make sure you only have one receiving station. And if you see up here, all the resources are getting sent up to here, and we can just make him dig and dig and dig and dig. Now what I normally do is, like I say, have this set up to some kind of clock or some kind of way of checking to make sure that this top hopper is empty, and then as soon as that's empty, meaning all the resources have been collected, then it can then send a redstone signal to that block, powering the digger again. But yeah, that is largely it. So just to go over things one last time before I sign off, just to make sure there's no confusion, we're going to have an item that we call digger, and at its location we're going to dig a certain area, a square block, and fill that with air and destroy the blocks because we want those drops. Chain on from that, and will that still work if it's conditional? No, okay. So chain on from that a teleport command to teleport the items from where the digger is, and we're going to execute at that digger, remember, and then we're going to check for any items within a radius of 5 of that digger. So if it's an item and it's in a radius of 5 of the executing entity, we're going to teleport that item itself at the quarry. So that's going to teleport all the items up to the quarry. So that's the basics of just the digging and teleporting stuff done. So now you'll see that all these items get sucked up nicely. So if that's where you want to leave it, then that's where you want to leave it. But here is, again, just to look over the installer. So we're going to make sure that an armor stand called installer exists, because notice that we're not testing for this command constantly. We're only testing for it. We're only running any of these if this command is ever true. So if you put an armor stand down, it's not going to trigger this. But if I make this installer, it will trigger this. So we'll get rid of that. And then once it's at the installer, we're going to clone in that pre-built quarry that we made. We're going to offset it from the armor stand so that we can always know that our armor stand is going to spawn in the center. And then conditional of that happening and being successful, we're going to summon another armor stand called quarry 7 blocks ahead of it, so, or however many blocks up your little chamber is. Remember, we went 7 up from where we plonked the dude down, so this where his feet is here, this block, this layer here, that is level 7. So we're going to spawn our armor stand in there directly above the other one, which is why we wanted it centered. So make sure that this spawns in the very center of our little hut to obscure it. We're then going to summon another armor stand exactly where the installer was, called digger. It would be at this point. You could apply an invisibility value, or you could have a repeating command block. There we go. So now you can see it's constantly making those diggers invisible. So you could always have that on a loop like I've got it right now, or you could have it on a timer, so every 30 seconds it gives it to them for 30 seconds to reduce the strain on the server. But either way, that's how you make it invisible. And then finally we just kill the armor stand called installer, otherwise all of this stuff is just going to repeat ad infinitum on loop, as I showed you when the block was breaking. So there you go, that is it. Now I'd recommend building your originating quarry, the one that you're taking the template from, i.e. this fella, somewhere underground where you can surround it by bedrock and it's out of view, because if anybody breaks this, so if I were to say, I don't know, knock that out, boom, and then we clone in a new one, it's going to clone in with those bits missing, you see? So I will just quickly put those back. Okay, well, I hope you liked that in-depth look at how to set up these Mark II quarries and just how small the command blocks are that you need to get them to work. Obviously, if you want to add more things in, like a fuel requirement or a timing circuit, things get more complex. But that is the basics of how you set it up. You have an object that digs and an object that summons. When you place down the summoning object, it immediately clones in a quarry that you've pre-built from elsewhere. And then it summons the digger at its location, then it kills the installer, and then you have this nice smooth installation. You can then put on more complex features, like having it compare a dropper underneath, or any number of other things before it will function. And I will, if this goes down well, I will make another video on showing you how to make the arm come down. That's pretty unique to my quarry at the moment, so I'll only kind of give you that one on lock and key, but anyone who's figured out how this cloning thing works around the armor stand could probably figure out exactly how I did that, to be fair, and do it themselves anyway. So yeah, that is it. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, stay tuned for more content. Get down in the comments, give me your suggestions, your feedback, anything you didn't understand I could use in new videos, any ideas that you want me to work on that you've been thinking might be cool to add to Minecraft. I'm a big fan of Tekkit and industrial craft. So yeah, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.